So my name is Marc Schuetz. I'm running the Thingworx Studio product management team at PTC. For those of you who don't know PTC, at a very high level, we are a 30-year-old software company with roughly 6,000 employees all over the world. And our main product lines in the digital world were PTC Creo, formerly known as Pro Engineer, and Windchill. And a couple of years ago, we actually figured out that we had to look into the mirror and actually say, okay, if we want to be a product lifecycle management company, we need to actually manage the product lifecycle completely, and not only the digital version. We really need to go into the physical world. And that's when we built an IoT platform. We acquired a company called Thingworx and some others, and Wrapup as well for augmented reality. And yeah, it was quite an investment. The idea behind is bridging the worlds between the digital and the physical. And there's barely a product out which actually doesn't have digital information or running some software or how do you interact with it in the future. And how we see IoT and AR is that IoT actually brings the information from the physical world. You sense a product into the digital world. You make sense out of it with machine learning, AI, and whatever is around in the next couple of years. And then you use augmented reality to bring it back into the physical world. So why do we talk about AR? Because we have quite a presence. So Wrapup right now has a little bit more than 70% market share in all the app stores. So 450 million apps which are downloaded all over the world out of those app stores have the Wrapup SDK or the Wrapup engine in. On the other hand, for the industrial enterprise, we built in the last 1.5 years an award-winning platform called Thingworx Studio. And the interesting part about this is when we look back in the analogy of the iceberg, everything you see on the right side pretty much covers what was under the water. That's going to be interesting now. So having all of those information, having 5,000 customers, try, play around, actually work, put it in production, as well as 350,000 developers, gives us quite some insights, and that's what I want to share with you. So how do we see the world right now? There's a difference between the market perception, what people think it is, and the challenges they face by implementing this. So I split it off on the left and the right, and let's start on the left side. So we are really in the early stage of augmented reality, and that's what people think, even if it's around for like 20 years, and we all know that. What is the value of AR? So very often I see people buying a HoloLens, and then they try to figure out what to do with it, instead of saying, hey, what is my business issue? What is my use case? What is the value of solving this issue I have on hand? And what is the right device for that? Pretty high TCO at the beginning. It's an investment. For a lot of people, AR actually happens on eyewear and wearables. Where in reality, it happens in the next couple of years on phones and tablets. So that's going a big difference. And then what is the ROI? So the real question is, how do we get from cool to meaningful? And what we constantly do is like serving our customers. And there are 3 main use cases. One is service manual instructions. The other one is operator assembly work instructions. And the last one is virtual product demonstration. So those 3 cases make up more than 60% of all the use cases our customers have. There are a lot more. So this is part of a framework which we built out over the last 2 years it's across the entire life cycle. So if AR is strategic, you'll have more than one of those cases in your company. The question just is where to start. And most people will actually start on those 3 we just mentioned. Very interesting for everyone. In November, or actually in the next couple of weeks, the Harvard Business Review will publish an article about augmented reality. So they spent the last 2 years on researching what is augmented reality, why is it important, why is it important for your company, and why you need an augmented reality strategy, why every company needs that, because it will be strategic for you. So that's a really good read, and just encourage everyone to download it. It will help to get awareness for augmented reality in the enterprise. They follow a very similar framework like this. But let's look at those use cases. What is it? So manufacturing. What we see a lot is like overlaying work instructions in context. How do I do this? Why do I do this? The product is slightly different. I actually build it in 3D, so now I have to put it together in the real world, so why not overlay and show the instructions? Sell and marketing. is all about putting the product or the configuration, which I don't have right now here, in front of me and see how it is in real life. How does this car look in my driveway? Does it actually fit into my garage? Things like this. And service is all about being connected. The device or the product tells me, let's say, how it feels, how it is. Is it okay? Predictive analytics will tell me, hey, I have like 1 week to maintain it and service it. And then I show people in the field how to do it, step by step, how to replace certain components. Due to the time, I will only cover the manufacturing case right now. So what we see is a lot of challenges, obviously. So if you don't do it, it can be costly to do mistakes. If you don't do AR, you might put a lot of more resources in because you have to train the people before they actually do stuff. We see it more and more that we have an aging workforce, that people actually retire, and that the knowledge retires as well. So how do we capture the knowledge? People coming from college right now, and maybe in like 5 years, everyone is born after the invention of the iPad, so no one is reading a book anymore. So augmented reality will actually help you shifting the knowledge from an aging workforce to the newcomers. That's a big thing. And then obviously you have low productivity and efficiency in operations if things go wrong. So to attack those problems, we looked at it from a perspective of what do I need? So if you look at the spider diagram, there's on the top left side, what is the hardware I need? Can I do this on a tablet or do I need eyewear? On the tracking, do I need SLAM-based tracking or spatial tracking? Do I need image targets on 2D? Do I need model tracking? Do I need all of them? On the development approach, that really depends on a couple of different things. So do I want to outsource this? It's a good question. There are a lot of consulting companies around. So they are specialized on this. They will build you the perfect app. Or do I actually have a software or development department? Can I use an SDK? Can I do it myself? Do I have to hire people? Or do I want to use a platform and have a drag and drop approach? So all of this depends on like 2 different things. And number 1 is it strategic for me? If AR is not strategic for you, go and outsource it. Let someone else who actually know what he's doing do the work. If it's strategic and you really think you need to apply it across the entire value chain, you need a platform. You need to do this in-house. So that is one thing. The other one is, I guess a couple of you read the book, The Long Tail. And outsourcing it is really building the picture-perfect application, doing a couple of things, but doing it absolutely picture-perfect and right. It's not doing much. It's not very flexible. It's really expensive to maintain it. But if you only do it once, that's your approach. If you constantly want to update this, have new configurations in, use IoT data, use all of this, it's actually the long tail. It's the platform approach. And then what is the content? Is it purposely built for it? Or do we reuse the content by having step-by-step instructions? Or is it actually real-time content, like real-time configuration of an S-maintained BOM and the IoT information which is coming from that device? I actually skipped the AR capabilities, which is really important as well. What do I do in my use case? Do I visualize the product, just putting it in front of me in a sales design review use case? Or do I help someone putting it together or operate this? So do I instruct someone with the step-by-step instructions? Or do I actually interact with the product? Is that the next HMI for the product itself? If you look at our 3 use cases, you can see from those spider diagrams, they have quite different requirements to the use cases and things I need. After all of you take a picture, I actually go through it one by one. Okay, let's skip this one. Looks like the easiest one. Operator and assembly work instructions. So this is repurposed content. So I already built the product. I built the 3D-CAD data. Now I'm building step-by-step instructions on it. I repurposed the content I purposely built for something else. Now I use it, giving it a second life by showing people how to operate stuff or put it together or service it. The AR capabilities obviously is more than visualize it. I want to instruct people how to do this. I can do this with the SDK if I want to have one app. If I have a highly configurable product line, I probably want to have a platform approach. And from a tracking perspective, if I want to show someone how to operate something, I want to put it in context of the physical product. That actually means I need model tracking. Or, I might be able to do this with the 2D targets. So image targets. The reality shows us that people don't want to put images or image targets on their products, especially if they have PTC's logo on. But yeah, that's another discussion. There are a lot of situations where model tracking will actually be the future. Targets get dirty. the product looks slightly different. So model tracking will be the future of that. But you actually need the 3D CAD model. You need those step-by-step instructions. You also need model tracking, probably. You need, and that's something we are heavily working on, is a recipe-based decimation pipeline. A lot of the content is actually built for running on high-end workstations. It's not made for running on a mobile device or an iWare. And the resource constraints are completely different. So we need to optimize the data for the device. And we need to do it recipe-based. And recipe-based actually means I can repeat it, I can scale it up, and whatever I build is, I only need the content, and I only deliver the content to the device which is actually needed. If I want to show someone how to, I don't know, put a coffee maker apart, I only need those maybe 4 bolts and the side panel which I have to take off. I don't need everything else because reality renders it already. And then, I need access to the data. And that is more difficult than most of you believe. It's not a greenfield approach, even if some people think, hey, it's a new technology, but it has to fit into the entire environment. And then finally, there's a lot of documentation, and AR can really help you to verify if things are done right and document it automatically in the backend system. And you can make it very easy for the end user if you get the UI UX right. Okay, that is obviously the most complex use case. I will give you all the slides, and if I talk about this one, I will probably need another 20 minutes. So I skip that one. The interesting part on this is it actually needs variables because you don't control the environment. In a manufacturing environment, you very often have the ability to actually say, I put an arm out, put the tablet on, this is my environment, I control it. If you're in the field operating something, you will have a hard time doing this. So it's much easier to use variables, but you at the same time need an offline mode to actually download the data before, because, all of you guys in Germany know this. LTE is not that great here. And then obviously remote assistant, and we have seen a couple of solutions in the last couple of days here. There's a lot of good stuff coming on AR remote assistant, like our Shark technology. So if you do all of this right, and especially for the manufacturing case again, you really can avoid costly mistakes and downtime. We have a lot of customers right now in the manufacturing environment who actually not even show how to put things together, but keeping the manufacturing line up and running. It's pretty expensive by having downtime for a couple of minutes because of mistakes. So if there's circuit breakers, there's usually like 50 in the same panel, and identifying the right one with augmented reality actually helps. Like, it is this one, not that one, because they all look the same. So those are very simple cases, but it really prevents downtime. And then it's all about speed. There's an unfamiliar task. How fast can I get this right? And there are good studies. And Boeing has a good study around that. They pretty much said, hey, it's 90% better quality, 30% faster assembly. That's a good value for the manufacturing side. There are many, many more, but they're by far not enough. So what we see right now is that people really try to classify and quantify the value of augmented reality in a specific setting, in a specific use case. And we really need to help them, because what happens in 2017, there was a big hype around augmented reality, and people say like, okay, now I know what it is, what can it do for me? And maybe in a research department or an IT department, people have like, 20, 50K left to actually invest it and do a proof of concept or a pilot. But now putting it into production is actually more expensive, and you need a business case. And suddenly you compete with all the other IT projects in the company. It's not like, okay, it was cool, now let's do it and keep doing it and put another, $250,000 behind. It's really about, hey, why is this case or this project more important than that project? And that's where you really have to calculate the ROI and how fast you actually get there. What is really good is the area is putting an exclusive report together about measuring enterprise AR return on investment. And this will really help you looking into use cases, gives you probably a calculation spreadsheet on, hey, let's put certain variables in, and gives you a ballpark of where you should be or what you can achieve using augmented reality in your enterprise and in specific use cases. So I think if you have more questions, Marc Sage is probably happy to help. Okay, that was really how the market sees it. So now, how to shorten the time to value. So we see a lot of people who say like, okay, I can't hire the people, I don't have the skills, or I need to hire the people. It's costly, it's difficult to actually reuse my data. It's difficult to actually integrate IoT data, to drive it from a platform, to drive it with machine learning and know when to service something, because augmented reality can help you actually visualize challenges. It can actually show you how to fix stuff. It can actually help you to operate or interact with the product. But what it cannot do is doing the analytics behind and tell you when to do it. So that's actually what the IoT platform is doing, why IoT and AR is such a powerful combination. And that is obviously, we all know this challenge. There's an app for everything. It's pretty overwhelming. What we did is we looked at those challenges and that we need to solve this. So we need to reduce the development cost by having a drag and drop environment, by integrate technologies like ARKit, AR Core into the Vuforia SDK. So benefit by implementing it very, very simple and give you a solution which actually scales, which streamlines the development, which makes use of all the content you have. It doesn't matter what CAD data it is. It should come in easily. It should be driven by a pipeline. It should be repeatable. It should be scalable. And yeah, it should use real-time insights. And that's what we built Thingworx Studio for. So Thingworx Studio was purposely built for the industrial enterprise to face or solve those challenges. It's around drag and drop authoring with widgets, still giving you the ability to use JavaScript, CSS to put your own extensions in, so we don't limit you to that, but we get you to a certain point much faster. Then, yeah, knowing that PTC has a 30-year of heritage in the 3D business, we know a lot about 3D data and how to optimize it, and that's quite a benefit here. And a couple of years ago, we went into the IoT business, and this is very, very helpful to drag and drop and bind all the value streams, properties, services, events, everything an IoT platform is doing into an AR experience. How does it look like? So this is Thingworx Studio. We just can drop some widgets in. For example, for a model, we pick the model. In this case, it's a Bosch Cytropack, one of their highly instrumented pumps. We have an authoring application for step-by-step instructions, which nicely integrates into it. So it's like, I would say it's like PowerPoint for 3D. You can move stuff around. It's like the animation panel. You have certain predefined effects to take bolts out, move things up, and so on and so on. And then you can just choose the step-by-step instructions here and bind it. Same thing for voice commands or gestures on the HoloLens. What we do here on the right side is defining a gesture, the double click. And you just move it onto the product and it says, what do you want to do? Okay, play the entire sequence. Same thing for voice commands. There are only like 8 or 9 gestures, but there are unlimited amount of voice commands you can define. That is the fastest way here to do this. So the other one is for the IoT information, we have a bunch of different 3D gauges, but you're not limited to what we do, but you have direct access here to Thingworx, the IoT platform, to all the properties, services, events, state definitions, state formatting, users, roles, all of that. Just with a drag and drop, you can bind this to your AR experience and drive this. Okay, and then there was a publish button. After you publish it, you don't have to submit it to the App Store yourself. And everyone who submitted an app to the App Store knows it gets rejected the first time. It takes some time. We got this for you. So we actually built a universal browser called Thingworx View for iOS, Android, Windows 10, HoloLens, and we're extending it constantly to different other platforms. So the only thing you have to do is use those universal browsers, publish it to the experience service, and enjoy the magic, which might look like this. So if you're coming back to the original use cases, on the upper left side, we see, hey, we use a tablet because it's a pretty good device for using it for operating and assembly work instructions. You can also use service manuals, but CAD-based tracking was something we mentioned before. On the virtual product demonstration, we actually don't control the environment. So people actually do it at their homes, do it on their devices. So let's be flexible and say, hey, a phone is a good idea. Can be a tablet, can be a HoloLens, but the minimum is at least a phone. And then we said, hey, in the service manual instructions case, you're outside, you're in the field, you don't control the environment, you want to be hands-free, so the HoloLens might be a good idea. I think to sum this up, I'm probably far over time already. My last slide is the lessons learned I had from working with many, many of you in 2017. Is clearly you need a strategy. You need an AR strategy, and it's coming in fast. So if it's strategic, and might be strategic for most of you, do it now. Understand the use case. Don't buy a device and say, what the hell can I do with this? So it's really about the use case and what can I do with it today? What value do I get out today? Be prepared to change it over time. The technology changes, so your approach will change as well. So leverage the AR technology for what it is, what it does best today. This is really very, very important. The other one is don't get hung up on tracking technologies. Just because Apple launched AR Kit, that doesn't mean they invented AR, and also doesn't mean that that's the only tracking technologies or tracking technology. You will need them all. Different use cases need a wide combination of tracking technologies. There's a right development approach for every application, and depending on your organization, how strategic it is. We talked about this, the long tail story. And start now, move fast. Don't take your typical approach of, I specify this thing like for 3 months and then I implement it. It will look different than you expect. Start now, move fast, and iterate a lot on the way. Thank you very much.